Excellent, guys. Welcome to the Locked On monthly webinar for December 2021. In this first part of the training, we're going to start to look at the buyers and the journey they take through the system, and also talk about the automation. So a few of you may already have these triggers enabled. We'll go over the core basic triggers that come with Locked On that really, when we set up an office, we're turning on, and we'll go through sort of the buyer journey from making an inquiry all the way through to showing up at a property using the app and the automation that comes with that. And then later we'll put that buyer as a purchaser of a property, or we'll use a buyer as a purchaser of a property. So for most of the portals, we can capture your leads, and that's generally where a buyer starts. Now, a buyer generally will start in this inquiries process. If you are adding a buyer to the system, we won't go into this in full detail, but you do go to clients and you hit actions, add client, and you fill in their name, number, and details, and we'll show you how you add the inquiries, etc. But for a majority of the time, buyers will enter through the inquiry. So they're getting captured from a website. They'll come into Locked On. It'll trigger the first auto response trigger, which is the inquiry reply. So let's go into actions, add inquiry, and let's put myself in as an inquiry here. So we'll pretend that it's come from 8 Skinners, the one I've got listed. We're putting in my details, putting my email, and we'll then add my phone number. Now, of course, we're doing this manually. It's telling me that I'm already in the system. That's fine. If you're putting in new inquiries, we're going to say it's come from domain, and I want you to pretend that's come at 11 o'clock at night, and we'll just put price. They want to know the price, and we'll hit add. Okay, so again, as this comes into Locked On, you will get the email sent to you from domain, and it will tell you that you have an inquiry that needs to be processed. And if you're looking at this on my main screen, when I come back into Locked On, it tells me there's one inquiry. So there's different rules. You can have these inquiries auto process if you don't have the time to sort of go to this inquiries holding tank and see what you've got for the day and process and make sure you've called them. Ideally, this is the best case scenario because we know that you've spoken to each person, collected their details. If you want this to auto process, put them in as buyers. The admin in the office settings will have this control here, create clients automatically. And if that's on, then really this section here doesn't get used because it will just put them into the database as a buyer, and the agent will reply to the person from the email they get from REA or domain or from the alert system. Now, going back into our clients, 1 second, let's put this at the top. We'll see that in the inquiry section, we will process this. And as I process it, it's going to duplicate check that I'm not in the database already. And because I'm already in the database, it's matched me to someone existing. So the email and the mobile matched, and you can see there's a whole lot of history with my test client here. And it took us instantly into the buyer criteria section. So if it's someone that it's matched that it wasn't a buyer, it won't turn them on. We can click active buyer, and now we can set what they're looking for. So 2 baths, 1 bed, 1 garage. You've got your houses here, beds, bath and car, suburbs, and we'll put in a price of 2 million. Generally, as you call them and put them into the database, these are the things you want to find out, filling in the buying criteria. So asking them what it is specifically they're looking for. If we go into the contact section, you can see that I've got Luke and I've added the partner of Natalie. And if you needed to add someone else, you can hit add another contact to this card. And each contact has their own email and mobile. Remember, you do not need to put the postal address on anyone below the top record. So it only lives at the top. And then when we do letters, it will address all the people below. So in the buyer criteria section, all of that's been filled in. We've processed a buyer, we've captured their information. But even before we called them back, here's what I want to show you in the history in the email. When we actually captured this inquiry from 8 Skinners, I'm not sure if I have my inquiry trigger on, sorry. We will be able to see that it would have sent an instant email auto reply for that person. So the inquiry at 8 Skinners, we go into the a history, that would get an auto reply. Now here it is here, it's sending now, and we can see the view option. And this is the auto reply with a bit of advanced features on it. Generally, the auto replies we give you are quite simply that first paragraph and then the property that you're seeing there, which will say, thank you for your inquiry. Here is the property details below. We'll be in contact with you shortly. Now, I've advanced this trigger to give them more information about the property they wouldn't have found online. And I've also advanced it in a way where I've given them the documents that are really important to this property. Now, I can do that 2 ways. I can put it as actual text with a link, or I can put it as buttons. And that is where you learn more about advanced inquiry replies, and you can contact our support team about that. So the general inquiry reply is just a thank you message with the property. The more advanced one, because we know the market's so hot right now, is that buyers are asking you for the same information over and over again. So how do you combat that? If you're getting 50 inquiries a day, you make sure that all the information is in that first reply. So in this case, the buyers made an inquiry at 11 at night, got an instant reply and got all of the documents or information they could ever possibly want. And you've answered all the standard questions here. So when you call them, they're like, oh, I've already got everything. I'm blown away. I'll see you at the open home that you've got set up for this, etc. That's what we want. We want them to be really impressed with the first impression you make. Now, also in our triggers, we can set up an SMS, and it's not default on in your account, but I have for mine. And it's come up on my phone. It says, thank you for inquiring on 8 Skinners. I'll be in contact with you shortly from the listing agent. So again, 11 o'clock at night, they've made the inquiry. About 11:02, they'll get that SMS, and then you can call them in the morning. So it's a pretty good first impression for any business to really have this auto trigger reply. And the advanced part is giving away more information with that. Now, as we look at the second stage of it, you've called your person, you've put them in the system, you're capturing their buyer criteria here. This is where if you're speaking to someone and you actually have the ability to be at your computer, you can see what other properties they match. Now, in my database, obviously it's small and they're sample numbers, but I can speak to them and say, look, I know you inquired on that property at 8 Skinners. We can see here that we've got the properties that match based on their criteria. Their criteria doesn't actually match 8 Skinners at the moment. I'm not sure what I have on that, but there's 3 other properties that suit them. Now, generally, you can then say, look, these may be private listings. They may be off market. You can say, send email and use our standard template buyer match. And the buyer match template is designed that if you are at your computer speaking to the person, as you're speaking to them, capture their criteria, you actually just go and send this, and you send it to them. You say, look, I know we've been chatting. There's actually a few other properties of ours that you may not have seen. Some of them are off market. And I've just sent you a list of all the properties that match your criteria. So that's what that tool is used for in the buyer match template. Now, the second part to this is at your own discretion, is that if you know a buyer's hot, you've had a really good conversation with them, and Luke says, look, myself and my wife, we've been looking, we missed out on 3 at auction. We're starting to get a bit frustrated. You know, we would pay a premium for something and we're financed, ready to go, cash buyer. The appraised matches is a really, really powerful feature. So if you get a hot buyer and you don't want to burn your bridges by always calling these vendors, so you need to really qualify the buyer, but you can actually say to Luke, look, we actually have 5 properties here that suit your criteria or in your budget that we've appraised, that I could possibly speak to the vendor and let them know that we have a buyer ready to go who is just, you know, really prepared to pay a premium to get a property that doesn't go to market. So you could then call these vendors, and a way to do that is by hitting the print option, which gives you a list of those appraisals, their details, and it could be a sheet you take out with you in the car, and you call through these people and speak to them and let them know about that hot buyer you've got. As I did say, this is not something you want to use all the time. You don't want to ring your vendors and cry woof all the time. You've really got to qualify the buyer, make sure that, you know, the property you're calling them about would suit them and they would be interested to see it, and see if they're interested in an off-market sale, and obviously sign them up and get that buyer through. But that has led to many off-market sales. It's a really, really great feature in LockedOn. Not many people know of it, but I'll show it to you today as a really, really powerful thing. Now, inside the engine, we have the triggers section. So we've already seen how the inquiry response trigger works. And all of these triggers here, we have full tutorials on them and how they work and the setup of them. Our whole method behind triggers is that we build them for you. We give you the templates. It's quite, all you need to do as an agency is just turn them active, really, and then they're on. We don't want you going in there, customizing them, trying to build triggers. They're quite advanced. We speak to our users, we get feedback, and we build the triggers, and then they're set up. And the templates that go with them are easy to customize, but the triggers themselves, you really don't need to configure anything in here. So with the inquiry response, we turned it on. You can see it's fired 128 times. And as we progress to the next part of the journey with the buyer, it's either going to be our standard newsletter. So the newsletter I don't have on for my test database, but this one we would set to go weekly. So let's have a look at how this would work. Inside the trigger, if you were in office with us, we would turn this on and we would pick a first date and time that we would send this. So if you started with us today, it's the 1st of December. We might say, look, next week, Wednesday at 10 a.m., let's send your first weekly email off, and it's going to repeat every week after that. It's going to send off the newsletter template to all your buyers from the agent working that buyer. Now, I'm not going to turn it on, but that will turn that on instantly to run every Wednesday, 10 a.m. And if I go to my property that we made an inquiry about, I just want to set this up as an open for the weekend so you can see how this shows up in the email. So we'll put this for Saturday at 9 a.m. for 30 minutes. Now that trigger in your business, we'll just hide that message, will go into all the active buyers. I have 24, your account's going to have a lot more. It will send email, which will be automatic. It will then get the template, which we have set up in your system, which is called newsletter. And it will then put all of your open homes in time order at the top. It will then show all of your properties for sale, newest to oldest, and it will show you the last 30, 60, or 90 days of sold properties in your office. Now, as a buyer, this is an industry standard. Like, it's very much a staple that if you're starting an office, this is something you've got to have set up. All your buyers, and remember, you have a really big pool of buyers that are hard to manage, but buyers that are making inquiries or interested in properties in your area, they want to be educated until they tell you they're no longer interested or they've purchased something. So this is giving them education on what's new, what prices things are selling for, and what properties you have open if they want to turn up. So this just goes every week. There's nothing you really need to do there. And this is a staple. We send it off and it goes to all your buyers Wednesday, 10 a.m. And you can pick and change that time. Now, as we progress through to the next trigger is all about alerting people that have had inquiries on the open home. So again, we'll go back to my buyer. We've had an inquiry on a property. We've now got the buyer match email from speaking with the agent. We've also now got the newsletter template a couple of days later, letting us know of all the opens and other properties the office has. And coming up on a Friday inside the engine triggers, we have your open home alert. Now, again, mine's inactive because it's a test database, but I would activate it. In majority of accounts, we're setting this up to run on a Friday. So we would pick the first Friday around 3 or 4 p.m. and we repeat that every week. And what that is designed to do is to do this. Go to your properties. Out of your properties, find the ones that have an open home, which is this property. It will then go to the activity and grab all of the inquiries and send them an email. But before it sends that, it will remove anyone who's already inspected it. So my list of 6 inquiries, 3 have already inspected it. It will now send off an open home reminder to the 3 remaining inquiries that have not viewed this property. So week 1, you might get 100 inquiries. It sends off 100 emails to the first open home. Now, 20 of those people turn up. Next week, we don't send it to the 20 that turned up in the first week. We send it to the 80 plus all the new inquiries. So it's got some smarts around it to not spam people. And when we're looking at this, it's telling them, hey, we know you're interested in the property. We'd love to see you at the next open. And then this email sends off to all of those buyers. Now, again, that is automatic open home reminder. You're not touching that once the trigger's on. Your admin team still have to go into properties and put opens and upload them. That's just normal real estate admin jobs. And the follow-up to that is that the trigger's running every Friday, 3 p.m. So that's just one part of the business you never, ever have to worry about. And that email will go out to all the correct buyers every week. Now, we progress through the buyer journey as this buyer, Luke, has had really, really good contact from our office. Most of it, 95% of it is automated so far. They've got the email and they turn up to the open home. And if we look at this on the property, we go into 8 Skinners. Here's just a few things you can do with our app for the open home. Now, there are other apps such as Home Pass that you can use to sync to LockedOn. But if we go into the the marketing, and we look at the opens, before your open home on the 4th of December, you can go into the enable check-in button that's here that you don't see now, and you can print the PDF. And the PDF has the QR check-in code. So everyone's very familiar with this right now. You could put this on the signboard. You could put this on the front door. And as your buyers walk up to the property, they take a photo of this and they can check themselves in using our QR check-in system. So this is full self-buyer management going to a property inspection. This is like a very, very powerful option, but there is also an option with our app that you can be at the door, take their details, and then add them in yourself, which is, we would rather you do that, get information, know that it's correct. But if they're self-checking in, you obviously need them to show your details before they walk in the door, and it will also sync into your app. So that's the QR, and you get that from the marketing opens area, and you can put that on the signboard or you can put that on the front door. Now, if I just go into the option here and I'm going to bring up the LockedOn app. So I want to share my iPhone with you and I'll bring that up now. It's just going to install a quick plugin for Zoom and then I'll bring that up on my phone. So if you haven't got the LockedOn app yet, we would suggest you go to the App Store or Google Play and search LockedOn and you will see that. Now I just need to bring in this screen mirroring option and it will open up my phone in a second. And let's look at how the app works for open homes. Okay, so here's the LockedOn app. Okay, I just need to sign out, switch back to my current account, go into LockedOn Real Estate, and you can now see my real estate office. So this is the app, the front screen. You can see there's a whole lot of quick links to add a client, add property, add task, add appointment. You can flick through the office listings here and find your property. But what we're wanting to do is use the three dots at the top. We're at the property ready for the open. We hit the QR check-ins and the QR check-in shows us the properties that we have open. Now, looking at this, I go into 8 Skinners. Okay, we can see that here is the property. If someone walks up and says, I want to use the QR, you do have this ability for them to view the QR on your phone, take a photo of that and check themselves in. Generally, you've got the print of the PDF on the door. So they just take a photo of that. Now, the other option is you don't use the QR scanner at all, and you use this as an app, and they walk up to you and you hit add check-in. Now, the power of this is that as they walk up, you ask the person's name, say, hi, my name's Luke. That's great. Can I grab your mobile number? And we go 0422 989 225. 989 225. Okay, so as we're doing that, what we can see is it comes up with a match and it's telling us that a client found. So picture this, 100 inquiries on your first open, 50 people are turning up to that. Because they're already in there as an inquiry and their name and their mobile's in there, you're typing that in and it's instantly matching to your database. And you can just say, oh yeah, we've got you in the system already. Is that your email? Perfect. And you can hit create check-in by hitting that option. As you hit the check-in option, it tells you that they are now the first person in the property that are inspecting it. Now, if you're adding a check-in and a mobile number, I'll just make one up. And we don't get a match. Okay, so there's no match. We can hit add check-in manually and we have to add in name, surname, and the mobile number, etc. Okay, so that's if you don't get a match. Now, if we're looking at the person, Luke and Natalie, and they are coming out of the property and you've got time, so you don't always have time, but you can click their name and you're now able to take feedback in the inspection and feedback edit option. So we can then put in their price guide. So if we click into the price guide field, we'll say it was $850. Okay, their interest level, you don't ask them this, you basically set it based on your conversation. So they're very interested, but you do ask them out of 10 stars, what do you think the property rates compared to what you've seen? And we get their feedback and we just put like it. Sorry, I'm looking at my phone and typing, so you can probably see that. And then we can hit edit inspection. Now, if they were very interested, generally a buyer will ask you for more information. Like, do you have the contracts? Do you have the floor plan? Do you have, more information on this property? If you scroll down, you see this send property documents option, which is a newer feature of LockedOn in the app. But what it allows you to do is add documents to the property in LockedOn. And then you can actually use the app to just slide and send them in a beautiful email with those attached. Now, I'll show you where these live in LockedOn in a second. But in the app, I've tagged some important documents for this property. The buyer wants those. So I can say, yep, no problems. I'll just send these to you now. And I'll slide it across and it's sent a beautiful email to them with the contract, for example. Now, when you're finished, you can hit back and you'll see that it's got 2 little ticks there next to my name, which means they've checked out and we've got the time they checked out. Now, obviously more people you'll see in the list, and you can click on them and take feedback and do all those options. But that kind of shows you how the LockedOn inspection app works and the ability you've got inside of that. Now, I will just stop this share and we'll jump back into my screen. And you can now see that if we're looking here, I'll just go back into the property, sorry. Just had to pause the screen while I did a little reboot. Okay, and we'll go into the activity and we can see the inspections. There's my inspection. It tells me that a contract has been sent. It's giving me 9 stars, their price and their notes. In the contract section, it tags that the contract was sent. And if we look into the offers, I haven't made one, or someone's made one, but I haven't yet. So the documents that important part of using that part of the app, which is really powerful, is that in the information for this property, when you first list it and you've got the contract and you've got the DA plans or whatever it may be, in the documents section, you upload your document, and I'm just going to remove the contract flag, and it will put that into here as the ground floor plan. Now, I want to make that available in the contract. So when I send that from the app, I have to flag it as a contract. So the 3 that are flagged as contract will send to any buyer that requests more information. And that's how that gets used. Now, if you don't have any documents against your property and none of them are tagged with the contract, that part of the app won't be available to you. So it has to have this set up first. So that app part is extremely powerful. Now, inside the activity, what you're seeing with a property is we can see a full overview of the inquiries, inspections, and all the contracts. And there's been 1 offer so far, and then that correlates into our vendor report that we'll look at in part 2 of today's session. Now, if we go back into the inspections and I look at Luke, let's go back into my client. I'm going to show you the last part of the buyer triggers here, which is, we think is one of our most amazing features. And it's a really, really powerful way of managing a large buyer pool. Now, obviously my test database, if I only had 23 buyers, I could manage that on the phone. I would just call them every month and speak to them, but that's not reality for most of the agents out there. You'll probably get 100, 200 inquiries on, a new listing. And then you times that by how many listings you're getting a year, your buyer pool just explodes. So how do you manage that more effectively without having a buyer manager, without having someone speak to them, at least once a year? Well, inside the engine in the triggers is 3-part step or 3-part process to the buyer portal. Now, the buyer portal, as I said, has those 3 sections to it. One section is to alert you as an agent when a buyer tells you they're no longer looking. This section here is to alert you when a buyer has updated their criteria, and it also sends them a beautiful email saying, thank you for updating your criteria. Here's a new list of property matches. And the update criteria alert is the one you set to run every 3 months or every 4 months or every 5 months. Now, I've got this one inactive because I don't want that running to my fake database, but I do have the other 2 working. If you were to set this up, and again, with most offices that come on with LockedOn, we turn this on. We just speak to you when we have your listings in the system and you're starting to get buyer inquiry. We may not set it up to run straight away, but we'll say, look, you started to get inquiries. We would say, look, today's December the 1st. You may want to run this in a month's time when you've got a couple of 100 buyers. We'll start it on 1st the 1st, 10 a.m. and then it will run every 3 months after that. And then everything down here below is set up. Now, I'm not going to activate that, but here is what would happen on the 1st of the 1st January. The system will find my 230 buyers. It will then go send email, and it will send them the update your details email. Okay, so here it is here. Now, I won't send this off. Again, I've got some family and friends in my test database, but here's the email. And it says, let's update your details. To help us provide you with the most relevant information, please take a moment to answer a few questions to help us better understand your needs. Click the below link to update and confirm your details to ensure you receive the most relevant information from LockedOn Real Estate. So I've sent this to myself previously. So let's go to my test record and look in my history. And we can open this up, pretend I'm a buyer, that I've received this on my phone on the 1st of January, and I now want to update it. So it's going to be on page. Here it is, update details. So that's the email I get. I'll open this in a new incognito window. So pretend it's on my phone, or I've just got it into my inbox, and it basically tells me my criteria set in your office. Now, again, you're looking at my green branding and my LockedOn colors. It will be your colors and your logo. And the buyer can see that we've got 2 million. We're looking in all suburbs. We don't know the buyer type, property type, looking for a house, 2-bed, 1-bath car. So I look at that and I think, okay, I'm actually no longer looking. I want to let them know. Remember, this isn't going to solve your buyer problems. It's just going to help manage a small percentage of them, the people that actually click on it. Now, if they click here and they say, look, we're no longer looking, we don't want to, be on your database, they click OK. It then sends the agent an alert saying your buyer, Luke and Natalie Newton, are no longer looking to buy. Please give them a call and find out why. Now, you don't have to do that with every buyer, but there'll be some buyers you see where you're like, oh, what have Luke and Natalie purchased? They were a hot buyer of mine and they must have purchased something in the area. So I really want to make sure I know what they did. Now, let's go to the other side of this, is that the buyer goes, oh, actually, I've been approved for 2.5 now. And I don't really want just a house. I want townhouse and apartment. So they can update their profile. And we have a pretty sneaky little question here, which gives you insight into if they're a buyer and seller. So what type of buyer are you? If they fill this in, great. They might say they're downsizing. If you see that in their buyer inquiry, that's a great lead for you to call and say, look, thanks for updating your criteria. We noticed that you're looking to downsize. Have you got something to sell, or are you looking to move out of the one you're in? You may find out they live in your area and could be a potential lead. Now with this, they've been approved for 2.5. So they've updated that. They're looking for an apartment, townhouse, unit, terrace, and they're the things they're looking for now. They still need 211. They're looking in all suburbs. They can specify just one, but we'll say all, and we hit finish. And then it says go home, and it's all updated. Now that instantly syncs into Luke and Natalie's profile. So when I look at their buyer criteria, what's actually been sent to the agent, Luke Newton, first is an email saying your buyer, Luke and Natalie Newton, just updated their criteria. So look, I may be out of the office. I'll come home at night and I'll check this. And I check this field here and it says downsizing. So then tomorrow I'm going to be like, I'm calling them in the morning, going to have a chat to them, see what they've got to sell. They may be out of area. Like I obviously know their postal address here, but this is the more of investigation skills you've got to get onto. If you see downsizing or upsizing there, really, really hot lead. But everything's updated here. So now they're on my database and they're going to match properties that suit their criteria. If we look into their history, what's actually happened is we've sent them a buyer match email. And this is the buyer match email. It says, thanks for updating your criteria. Here's the 3 properties that suit what you're looking for that we have. We will also keep you up to date with new listings that suit this. But you can now see there's the 3 properties. So great service that's all automated around that for your buyers, which is amazing. The buyer portal tool is a must-have. As I said, it's not going to fix your whole buyer pool problems, but it does help with a big percentage of it. And the people that use it, they're just going to be more and more impressed with what your company offers. So when we do start with an account and we talk about the buyer journey, all of our triggers that we've pretty much built to this day, we're all about solving the buyer journey process from an inquiry all the way through to that property sale sort of point of sort of alerts, etc. There'll be more and more triggers coming as Plus rolls out. We've got a few more advanced ones that we'll be launching in the next month or so. And they're just going to be as simple as us telling you what they are and you deciding whether you want them on or not. But as I mentioned right at the start here, when we basically install your new account or any new users with Locked On and we get your listings in, we're really just turning all of these on and say, just leave them, let them run. They're part of your buyer follow-up that you never have to worry about again. All right, so there's been a bit covered in that first part around the sort of buyer journey and a bit of the automation. I'm going to pause the recording now and just ask for questions. And if you can use your Zoom controls, you can send them through to me and I can answer them live. We'll have about 5 minutes if we get some questions, and then we'll jump on to the next section. So I'll just pause that now. Okay, guys, phase 2 of the monthly webinar is looking at the potential sellers and the journey they have through Locked On. Now, this is the core fundamental journey of, we're going to fast track it, but of meeting someone who owns a property in your area, databasing them correctly, and using our plans and our systems to give yourself the best shot to create rapport with them, to get them all the way through those 5 main stages that we'll talk about. Now, those 5 main stages of the selling cycle, we give you plans, we give you follow-up, we give you the system for all of that. And yes, that may not suit every single area in Australia and New Zealand that we sell Locked On in, but it's a massive head start. And we really want you to, take it, run with it, and then over time advance it to suit your needs. And that's the whole DNA plan process. So if we go into the client's database and we look at Luke, we're going to use me as a buyer and a seller. One thing you'll notice is that they just stay in the database how they were before. So Luke and Natalie Newton, I've been working with as a buyer, but now I know they own property in the area. I would make sure that I turn this potential seller button on, and that button identifies someone where I know them, they know me, they own a piece of real estate in an area I could sell. And if I save that, that is going to up my count of potential sellers on the dashboard here. So we got 14 potential sellers that are direct to me and 23 that are in the office. So that's what the bigger number and the smaller number mean. Based on, I'm an admin, I can see the whole database. So 14 I have, 23 the whole office has, 15 buyers I have, 24 the whole office has, and same for tenants. Now, looking at the potential sellers in there, if we go back into Luke and Natalie, we flag them as a potential seller. We go into the property section and we can see here that we have 4 properties linked to them. Now, I've done this prior to today. If you've got a new client in the system, you won't see this. It'll just say no properties, add your first one. To add a property to them, you go actions and you select link property, and you can create a new property against them. It will load in the postal address. If it's not the postal address that they own in your area, they could live in, for me, they could live in Queensland or New Zealand and have an investment property here. I can put in that investment property address and select what type of house that is. So for the example today, what I'm just going to put in here is 12 Skinners Ave, and we'll put that in Dolls Point. That's the database that I like to use, or the suburb. And we'll say that that is a house. So they live in Catherine Hill Bay. You can see that I've got 2 properties listed, one appraised, and they have one for rent. It's also listed with me. And I'm going to add a new one, just building a great relationship with Luke and Natalie. The more I get to know them, the more properties they own in the area, which is great. Now, when I first create a new property against them, it's going to put it in as a potential. And a little bit of things that are coming for you soon with LockedOn's integration with Price Finder is that when you put a new property in, you'll be able to match that on Price Finder, and it's going to pre-populate as much of the property data as we can. So beds, bath, car, land size, all the additional features that we can get, aspects, where it's looking, internal, external square meters, zoning. It'll pull in the photo, the last marketing, last sold price. That integration is going to be really, really cool to have property data pre-populated and let you know, recent sales and stats, etc. for it. So that's an exciting thing coming with Plus too, that you're all going to be getting soon. But for now, we put the property in, and we just want you to put the basics in. So it's a 4-bedder, 2-bath, 2-car, and we can then save that. Now, the property journey or life cycle, as we call it in LockedOn, that I was talking about before, is 5 main stages. And once you understand these, you really start to think, well, it's quite easy to systemize the business around these 5 areas. Yes, there are a few like little kind of things that you need to cater for outside of it, but these are the bulk of your business in real estate, managing properties through this point of sold. So we start with the potential, and that is we have met someone today and we're trying to get in the door to do an appraisal, which is stage 2. Now, stage 3 is that we've built a great relationship with them, and when they're ready, they'll list with us. Now, you may go from potential to appraised, or you may go straight to an appraisal into listed. You can skip stages of this. Once you've got it listed, we do what we do well. We market the property, we negotiate, we get that to a point where it's exchanged or unconditional. And then we have plans to make sure that process is smooth and they have a really good journey from exchange to settled. And on that day, we give the keys to the new purchaser, we transfer the ownership to them, and we set our anniversary plans. And that purchaser becomes a new potential seller in our database, and we start the process again. Like, if you grasp that, there's 5 core stages of the property life cycle. Now, when we start a potential, we know the owner, we've got the property linked, we then go actions, apply DNA, and this is where all of our plans, letters, templates, the full system we give you at LockedOn kicks into gear. This can be automated. I'm going to show you how automation works with the appraisal plan. But let's look at this. All the plans we give you are not automated because we don't want you sending off anything that you haven't read or approved. So when you set the first appraisal one, you've met the client today. This plan is designed to essentially build a relationship with them quite quickly over the first sort of 12 months and give them a fair few contact points. So they basically remember that who you are, what agency you work for, and don't get you confused with anyone else, because our goal right now is that we've met a new lead. We want to give value to them as to why they should have an appraisal. We really just want to get in the door as many properties as we can in our core area. So the first thing is I'm going to send them an office intro pack, and every office has a different one. It may be like a flyer of yourself, some recent sales, the fridge magnet, calendar, whatever that may be. We can now post that off to them because we know the property and we know where they live. We don't give you that. That's just a reminder. So if you do that, you can hit complete, and then you can complete that task. One thing that I'll just stop here and just show you is that when you start setting plans against hundreds of properties, so whether it's a potential, appraisal, listing, exchange plan, these go into your tasks. Okay, so you can see here are the first few things here that I've got to do. So send office intro pack, I'm checking that, and let's say I've done that, I've put it in the post and I've completed it. The next thing is I'm going to send them an SMS, which is to complete straight after I met them, it was a nice meet you today and looking forward to potentially helping with your real estate needs. Please save my number, and we can send that off to our vendor. Now, if we go back into the properties, and I'll just clear the filter and sort this by newest to old, so we can see 12 Skinners. I've completed 2 things, and in the task, the next thing due is in a day, which is an email. Remember, we give you everything templated. So emails, SMS, and letters. We're not saying go and write these, they're done. So when the email comes up, you hit complete. It's not automated, remember? So we're looking at the template. We can update the preview. We can read over it, and we may want to change a few things with it. So you just change a few things over here. I might, for example, I just bolded something, but I don't want to give them this. I'm just going to get rid of that, and I can then update the preview just to see what that looks like. That's why it's important to know what we send, because you may change it one-on-one. But the idea of any business is automation, ideally, to a degree, where you don't want to basically rely on your agents or yourself to send these emails when you're due. You know the text, you know what it's going to do, and you're happy with that content is going to cater for 90% of the people that are going to get it. Yes, there'll be people that will be like, oh, why did you send me that? You have to just take those ones on the chin when you're trying to think about scale. So this particular email, we're happy with it. We've edited it. We hit send. That's going off, one day after I met them. The next thing is a phone call, which is due in 19 days. So I'll follow them up. So if they haven't booked an appraisal, I'm trying to speak to them and get in the door. Then I've got another one about buyers missing out in the area, and a few more emails and SMSs. What happens at the end of this is that 1 year after I first met the client, it goes into a repeating phone call. Now, think about this for your business. If you're starting fresh today, your first agent, you're going out, you're prospecting like mad, you've met 300 leads in your first year and you've appraised 50. So it's 350 good leads there. Now, all those 300 that didn't eventuate to an appraisal, they don't fall through the cracks. Every year on the date we met them, there's going to be a call that pops up until they decide to have an appraisal with us, which is going to say, and the call will be a reminder to speak to Luke and Natalie to say, it's been 1 year since we met. I know it was just a quick catch up. We talked about your property at 12 Skinners Avenue, but we still haven't been out to appraise that. We'd love to give you an appraisal, just let you know what the property is doing in this market. A lot of things have changed over the year. If they say no, then it automatically adds that for next year. So all of our plans through the potential, through the appraisal, through the anniversary, have these repeating ones. And if you just pause and think about that for a minute, it means that a new agent that's using LockedOn well, that's putting in every lead into their business, which is every potential, every appraisal, every sale they've made, there is no way they can lose contact with them because of this repeating task. And that's at least one contact personal call with all those people every year. That's where it gets really powerful. Now, let's pretend if we go back to page 1 and there's some really good content in here, and you get to this, which is in 2 months, and this is the appraisal catch up, and they say, well, look, yeah, we should have an appraisal. They write back to your email and book that in. We then go into the update status. We change it to appraised, and we go into the life cycle area. And this is where we go into book the appraisal. So you've had the conversation with them, you book the appraisal in for, let's say, next Monday, 9 a.m. We set the appointment and we update that. You can add that into your calendar. Here is the first big feature of Plus that we've just launched for you, is that as soon as you get off the phone, you've booked it in, you let them know that you'll be sending them something just to confirm the meeting, which is your whole digital pre-listing kit. Your digital pre-listing kit you enable, which then gives you a unique link for this property. Now, based on the template that your office sets up, you'll be able to preview what you're sending them with all the defaults. Hi, Luke and Natalie. We look forward to seeing you on Monday, the 6th of December. We have preferred a personalized experience for you to kick off your property journey. Please complete the questionnaire. This is very unique to LockedOn. No other CRM, no other proposal pre-list system has questionnaires. When they open this pre-list, when we show you how to send it to them, and they fill in the questions, it will send to you as an email saying your vendor just completed the questions on their pre-list, and it will give you the answers to them. So what influenced you to buy the home? What are the best things about your home today? What are the 3 most important things to you out of the below? And when are you thinking of selling? They submit their answers, confetti drops down, and then it sends you an SMS and an email telling you that they've completed them. Those answers then sync into your LockedOn account as well. But that is huge, huge insight before you go out and see someone, to learn what is important to them about their property, so you can talk about them the whole time you're there. And the 3 most important things to them, well, that's what you really, really prepare your presentation around. If you're big on your presentation and it's more about your websites, but they say the most important thing is photography, then you want to go in and show some beautiful photography that you've done and talk about your photographer, etc. They're just little insights into it. Now, if we go back into the kit, it then goes into your agent bio, and all of this is pulled from LockedOn, because now in LockedOn, in your My Details, every user has the agent bio area where you'll put your heading and a 1 or 2 paragraph description about yourself and add your awards. You'll put in your links to your profile, so your website, your full profile on your company page, and you'll also put your video link in. We have an extended bio, which should be a page about yourself and a bio image, and that gets used later on in the agent bio, the bio page that I'll show you profile site. So here we can see there's about me. I'm going to see them. Here's my stats. Here's my video. Video is key. Like if you don't have videos, invest in it. We all know how important they are, but if they can watch something cool about you, like an auction or testimonials, really, really powerful. So they can view all my current listings on my work website, and they can view my full profile here on my website as well. Now, if we go down, it defaults to showing the last 90 days of sales. Now, in my business, there's the last 90 days of sales, and they can click view online to see those online, to read more about them, or it will take them back to my website. Okay, as they're going down, we tell them how many buyers match their property based on beds, bath and car, and where they know it's located. So 24 in my database and 18 matching buyers. We have the testimonials. It picks the last 4 testimonials you put into your system. It then has a nice infographic that you have. And below that, we have articles, which I don't have there, which I'll show you as we customize it, and then a sign off at the end. Now that page itself is beautiful. And the responses from all the beta testers, which you all now have live, has just been fantastic, especially with the questionnaire. But as we go to a property, here's the kicker, is that for every property, you may need to customize it. And you hit the little customize option, and you now take it into the editor where you can customize every component of this. So if you want to change the personal message that goes to this person, I might just, for here, this examples, I'm just going to delete a sentence, and I can add more if I want, XXXXX. I can then click into the agent bio, and you've got all your controls up here. I don't want the feature icon. I want it to be an award. Okay, the color of the button, I could change that to, the icons. We can change that to that color and put it back to green if I want there. Okay, you can change the background colors, etc. as well. But generally that's set up in your office settings, the pre-list. Now the recent sales is defaulting to the last 90 days. The power of this is that you may go to a property that you're appraising that you've sold 10 properties in that street. You don't have to show the last 90 days. You can actually search for properties that you've sold, and you can pick those properties that you've sold in that street. So we'll just clear that, and we'll just default this back to 90 days. Okay, we then go into the buyer match, and this is where you might say, well, this is an out of area appraisal. I don't want them to see the buyer match, so I'll turn that off. In your testimonials, it will default to the last 4, but you may say, oh, look, these 4 are actually 4 from the sales that I've got above that I want them to read. The office stats is set up through the office in the system, but you can change these stats on the fly, change the logos, click into here to change any text. And then if you go into the articles, well, I didn't have any articles selected, so I'm just going to pick 3 articles that I've got in my system that would suit this person. And then the footer, you generally don't touch that. So we'll leave that on, and we save and close. Now this has been customized for them. So before I send it, I hit preview. And looking at this now, there's my custom text. We've got the custom icon and color now for my awards. There's the same properties. I've defaulted that to 90, but here's my custom testimonials, and all of these testimonials have a video. I just haven't linked it to the correct YouTube link, but you can now see it's a watch. We've got my infographic and my article, the 3 articles I want them to read. Now, those articles and testimonials, all of you now have this section in LockedOn called marketing, and this is where your office adds the articles. Very, very easy to add. We simply want you to do a heading, write your text, pick an image and publish it. Then you'll be able to use that in your pre-list and your agent sites. If you go into marketing, here's where you have your testimonials. Again, very simple to add. You select the property if you can, that should be settled. You select the vendor's, you type the vendor's name. If it doesn't load it, you select it's the vendor, you put their testimonial in, and you upload a photo. Now the photo ideally would be of them at the signboard. If not, it will use the property default, and then you can put video links in there for their actual property if they've given you a video testimonial. We use all of those on your agent websites and on the pre-list and on the proposal systems that we'll be giving you soon. So let's go back to the property. You've customized the appraisal. You've got the preview done. You're happy with it, and you're now ready to send it. So to send this off to them, you hit SMS link to vendor. It will now send a beautiful SMS to them. You'll hit email link to vendor. It will now send a beautiful email that we've templated for you off to them. Now the templates for your whole office can be changed in the engine templates area. So if you're looking for those in here and you want to customize them a bit, you may want to change the wording of them. Just type welcome, digital pre-list welcome email. And in the SMS, it's the same. digital pre-list welcome SMS. Now we'll go back to my client here. I've just got the SMS on my phone, and let's go into here. And if we look at the history, I just want to show you how that looks. So this is the email they've got. Welcome to Locked On Real Estate. Luke and Natalie have both got this in their inbox. So both of them have got it together. When they click on the button, view information pack, it instantly opens them up to their pre-list. Now they open this up and they complete the questionnaire, and let's just put in here test 1. They write really good information here. We'll just put in here test 2. They pick that they want to know the price, photography, and fees are most important to them. They're going to sell in 3 months, and they hit submit. As they hit submit, that is instantly sent the answers to me, the agent, saying your owners, Luke and Natalie Newton, just filled in their questions. Here's the answer, and I get them in my email. I've also just got an SMS on my phone, right, looking at it right now. It says, heads up, Luke has opened the digital pre-listing kit for 12 skinners. In a few seconds, I'll get an SMS saying, heads up, Luke just completed the questionnaire. So we're pretending we're the vendor right now, and they're going through our presentation, and they're watching our videos. They're looking at our recent sales. They're watching all our testimonials, and they're reading our articles. That is extremely, extremely powerful first presence to an owner before you've even been out there. They've got this as an SMS and email. And you'll notice I'll open it more than once. You're going to get multiple SMSs saying they're opening your pre-list kit. They've opened it again. They've opened it again. That's what it looks like. And the SMS is very simple. The SMS just says, it doesn't get stored in the history. You'll see that in the template. We're looking forward to seeing you. We've prepared this information pack for you. Here's the link. It's just a link they click in the SMS. But the email shows up in your history that's sent there. So as that gets sent to them and they're progressing through it, you'll be able to go into their property. We've got a couple of days until we're going out to see them at 12 skinners. In the life cycle appraisal, here we have our answers. So we're now tailoring our whole presentation around these answers when we go out and see them. And they may have said, look, we're actually not thinking of selling, but they've selected 3 months. So something is a bit more of insight there into more information as to, okay, well, they may be thinking of selling. So I'm going to change the presentation a bit more and, try and close this one because I don't want another agent going out there. Really, really good insight there. So you go out, you do your presentation. Just a bit of forward knowledge for you. What's coming with Plus is down below. You're going to have an option here that says prepare digital proposal. So you will go out and do your appraisal. You'll then say to them, look, I'm going to go back to the office. I'm going to prepare your proposal. And I'll send that over to you as an email and SMS. You'll be able to view all of that. It'll be a beautiful system, just like the pre-list, where you'll have more components that you go through each component and pick what you're going to be sending them for the proposal. You then save it, you preview the page, and you then email and SMS it to them. That is like going to be industry leading how that looks and how that performs. And it's going to have questionnaires in it, and no one else has got that. And that will be coming to you early next year. We're finishing off all those designs for that now. That's another big part of Plus. So you've done your appraisal, you've prepared your proposal, you come back into the office, you go into your tasks, and before you set a new plan to follow them up, you find the old one, the potential appraisal, which is no longer relevant, and you delete those tasks. So getting rid of those means that we're not going to send off anything to them that means, hey, can we book an appraisal with you? You've just done that. When you finish your appraisal, you apply the DNA to follow up the appraisal, and we start that as soon as you get back into the office. Now, in this plan, I've just set that against this property. I know my appraisal is not till another 5 days away, so it hasn't actually automated anything yet or sent anything, but in 5 days, if I've completed the appraisal, it's going to send the straight after appraisal SMS to that person, and then my testimonial videos. So this is where I'm starting to show you more. If I was an advanced user of Locked On and I liked all the Locked On templates, all of my SMSs, all of my emails would be automated. And to do that in Engine DNA, where we give you all the DNAs, you go to edit and you look at your DNA plans. Anything that's purple or green, you can edit and you can click automate. And that will then mean that when you use that plan next, that SMS will be automated. And ideally, to be honest with you guys, that's where we really want all the Locked On users to get, is that you're not relying on staff or people to send, just stock standard, point of face, like, face marketing where we can see them, they can read it, they can interact with it, and they just want them to see your logo and reply. We want you to be forefront of their mind, more than just phone calls. Phone calls are obviously more powerful, but this stuff should just be going out automatically. So when I look at my tasks and we're looking at it, we've got everything set for the follow-up of this property now from the appraisal. And the important thing is that when we get to the end of it, like 1 year of follow-up, we have an automatic first year anniversary that goes out. And that one is quite powerful, which says, hey, it's been 1 year since we appraised your property. Properties have changed in your suburb. We'd love to give you a new update every year. If they don't book another appraisal, then you get your anniversary one that goes out every year automatically. So as an owner of a business, my agent that just started with me did 50 appraisals in his first year. I don't have to worry about him following them up because I've automated a yearly SMS to his 50 appraisals every year that will say, hey, it's been 1 year since Joe Bloggs appraised your home in Dolls Point. We'd love to give you an update every year. Text us back so we can book that in. And that happens from year 2 on. So the year 1 goes, and then year 2, it will say 2 years, then it will say 3 years, then it will say 4 years. And hopefully it doesn't get on that long, but you should have reappraised it sometime in between that. And hopefully you win that listing, but nothing falls through the cracks with automation on those appraisal follow-ups. So the appraisal follow-up's been done. You've done your proposal. You've got it set. You've got really good follow-up up until the first year. And then we go into some automated stuff on year 2. Hopefully at this point you win that listing, and that's where you would update it to a listed property. Now a listed property, we're not going to change this one, but I am going to remove the DNA task on it. So the appraisal would go to a listed, go into it there, and I'll show you a listing that we've been using today, 8 Skinners. And at this point, you're getting more information about it. So even from the appraisal, you could update more of your general, you could update your land, your features, you could probably upload documents. When you get a listing, you're definitely uploading documents like a Dropbox here against it. But then you fill in the life cycle listing tab and you're starting to fill in the price, the listing agents, water rates, council rates. You're then getting the marketing sorted, heading, text, images, setting up the opens and getting it ready to go on your portals. But when you win your first listing, inside the task, if you want to use our LockedOn checklist for a new listing, you use apply DNA and you set number 3.3, awaiting contracts. Now, some states, yes, we know you don't have to await contracts, you write your own. This is quite simply a new listing checklist. So if you hit apply, any business will have this. What do we do when we win a listing? I want you to get it all into LockedOn. We've tried to cater for majority of people. There's a few things here, letters, tasks. You would really need to build this out. And this is just a safety net that if an admin person is doing the listings in your business, then they should be the assigned agent to a majority of these ones. And they're just checking that everything's getting done. We're getting the keys cut, photography, signboards, getting it ready for websites, checking with the vendor for team inspections, booking all of everything that needs to happen with that. As that's all happening, it's getting completed pretty quick within the first 2 weeks, all of this, because we want it to be on the market as fast as we can. So that's the first DNA plan you set when you get a listing. Now, when you've got the property ready to market, we've got the details, the headings, the images, the opens. LockedOn gives you this, and this is our second big feature, which is the property microsites. Every listing in LockedOn now has its own landing page, so that when you click it ready to market, this gets turned on and you can hit preview property. And to be honest with you, this looks better than most agents' websites, is the LockedOn landing page for the property. And this is the first time we're going to market it to our database and use this site. So every time you get a new listing, the just listed always goes out to your database before it goes live anywhere, and you use this site. Now, as you can see, the layout, how it functions, the pictures, the carousel, very visual. It's got videos, it's got virtual tours, map view, key stats, listing agents, but this is the kicker, the resources. If you're sending an email out to your 3, 4, 5,000 buyers and it's a new listing, and majority of buyers, are, if they're interested and they're hot, they're going to write back, oh, I need this, I need that, or have you got this? Inside this property, it's ready to go to market. In the documents section, we've got the section 96 or the contract, and I've uploaded that. I'm just going to remove the website flag. So I now think, yep, this is a document I want my buyers to have when I send it off to all my VIP buyers on my database. So I'm going to flag it on the website. So if I would just want to turn this off, I want to see how instant this site updates. There, it's not there. And I think, oh, damn it, I just sent that email. I want that back on the website. Before the emails even hit their inbox, I've put it back there. This means you don't need things like, hey, here's an email with all the documents. No, you don't need auto replies that have, download this. The auto replies and the emails you send to people when they view the property on the LockedOn site will have all the documents you want them to get. It also has the get in touch option. So if they fill in their details here, it instantly syncs to LockedOn and does all of the auto replies as well. So the site is beautiful. We brand it to you. We'll have your logos, your colors. It's set up for every one of your listings you have right now. The resource part is the kicker because no other website can do that, or they can do it. It's extremely hard. and your buyers will have all the information they need. Now, how does this link work? Well, the whole just listed process, the whole off-market property, the whole first link you want to send to your vendor, this is what we created this for. So you could get this link, SMS it or email it to your vendor and say, here's your property, it's about to go live. You then go into the buyer match, and before you launch this to everyone, I mean REA and domain and your website, you hit send email. It goes off to all the buyers. We're doing our just listed. And we're now seeing that it has the photos, but it has the view online button. So if this sparks my interest, when I click view online and I open it, guess what site it's going to? It's a full mobile friendly website that has everything the buyer will need in relation to the newest property you've just launched. You don't have to wait for it to upload to your website. You don't have to worry about layouts. You don't have to wait for it to get to REA and then have the whole public know the property's there. This is extremely, extremely powerful for off-market selling. When you go into a vendor and show them this website, you'll have this for your property. We'll send it to our database. It will never go online. It's exclusive to them. We don't need to put it on REA, but this is how we advertise your property first. You can send them a link to an old property, but this presents beautifully and will become a big part of your listing presentation if you understand that whole just listed concept of selling stuff to your buyers before it gets online. Now, you give it 24 hours, you send your just listed off, and then yes, you go into portals and you upload this to the portals you want to send this property to. Okay, you put them on and you hit upload, and then it goes to all the sites and it's now public. Now, once that's public, you're going to start getting inquiries. You're going to start building your buyer database. The next listing you get, you do the same process. But that in the marketing section is your second big feature of LockedOn Plus, is that every one of your listings now has that. And remember, the kicker to it is the information documents, uploading documents you want your buyers to have and putting that in as to flag on website. Now, for all your LockedOn emails that you send out, whether it be automated ones, just listed, just sold, and they use the property card or the property layouts, they will all direct back into our website now, unless you put in a homepage link here in the website, and that could be your own homepage, then it will default to that. But as a safety net, you're always going to have a URL for a property. So progressing on from the listing, once you've launched it in the task section, I'll just remove these ones. Generally, these are all complete in the first couple of days. You'll then go into actions, apply DNA. And to be honest with you, this is not a plan that a lot of people use because a lot of agents have their own way of doing vendor management. This is kind of, think about if you're a new agent or you're new to LockedOn and you just want to see what we would tell you to do with a new listing. You would set 3.1 on the day you launch the property to your database. So I just sent off my just listed. I then apply this plan from the closest Monday. So I set that one and I apply that. And now it's setting the next 90 days of vendor communication. It's going to tell me to do vendor reports, nice SMSs out to them, regular feedback, letting them know as things are happening. Really, really crucial part of the whole process is the vendor management. This is a very bulletproof plan. It's intense, but it's going to lead to exceptional vendor management. Now, again, some agents say, I call my vendor every day. I send them a report weekly. Perfectly, that's fine. Do that. But there's something else that you can use. It's got a lot of good processes, steps, and templates in it. We'll delete that. Now, we get to the point where you've got the listing online and we can start to see the inquiries are coming in. We're doing inspections. We've got contracts and offers, and you can produce vendor reports here. So the vendor reports, we have 3 ways to do this. To set up a vendor report in the first week, you tell them, look, at the end of the first week, we'll put your first vendor report up. You hit add. Okay, we launched it last week. So we're going to say the 24th, and I do my reports weekly on Tuesday to the 30th, and I put in my details. And I save that. Here's one that I've just been using as a test for a long time. It doesn't have to be super detailed, but you can see it goes from a date to today's date. I've put in some notes and I can save that. Now, first option is you'll do that weekly. So you'll see these grow and you can download a PDF report. So the PDF report will be of the property that you can sit down with your vendor and you can go over this, or you can drop it in the letterbox if they live locally. Okay, really nice, summarizes everything, mainly the inquiries, inspections, and all the feedback that's going on. It gives you some summary of the stats there. If you want to email that to them, you can hit email report, and that will grab our vendor report template. It'll put it as an attachment, that PDF, but it'll have a really nice body of an email with a photo of their property, the stats for that week, download the PDF at the bottom, which you can see over here, and just some summary of the notes you put in on the report. And then you hit send. Okay. Now the third and final one is the vendor portal. And this is probably the main one we want you to use. So you explain this to your vendor that after your first week, we'll set you up with access to vendor portal. We'll send you an email. You'll need to set up a username for vendorportal.com.au and a password. The way you do that is by going to your contact. They have their email and you hit this invite to vendor portal and you hit send, and that sends them the invite to it. Now, Luke at the top here has already connected it. So he'll be able to log in with his email and his password, be able to see his property 8 Skinners, and he'll be able to log in at vendorportal.com. And when he logs in, he sees this. Now, when the vendor logs in, it has a nice visual photo, grayscale of their property. It then goes into the inquiries, inspections, contracts and offers, and our notes from that week. And then it shows them everything here in regards to our follow-up on each part of that. This is live as well, guys. So this becomes a really big part of your presentations to a future vendor. When you're sitting there showing them the vendor portal, you're actually saying, look, as soon as your property goes live and the first day we're going to get 50, 60, 70 inquiries on this, you'll see them all coming here. Now, we might not have time to update our notes and give them feedback, but you'll be able to log in the next day and see the people we've called back and the notes from that. From that, the first open for inspection will be at your home at 10 a.m. We'll be adding people through the app that I showed you that you actually got to experience with the property down the road. And you'll see as they come in, and if we get feedback that day, it will update instantly. As people request contracts, they're the people from the inspection that were a bit more interested, and you're going to see their names appear here. Now, the offers, we actually have to follow up and speak to people and get written offers, and then we'll put them into the portal here. We'll have a copy of your marketing to approve and the photos in the order that they'll show on site that you can flick through. And we'll also have all your documents inside the portal that you can download. So anything that's really important throughout the sale will be uploaded as a document that you can download in the portal. You'll see your upcoming open times, and you can email us whenever you need. Now, it's a really, really good thing to show in a listing presentation. So it actually has 2 purposes. It's going to be great for your vendor, but it's more important, it's for you to use at market appraisals to really stand out. Now, every time your vendor logs in, if you click your My Details at the top in your settings, you can turn on these alerts for the vendor portal. So we'll tell you when they've set it up, and then we'll tell you every time they've logged in. We'll send you an email saying your vendor just set up their portal access, which is what you need to know they've done it. The second one is your vendor logged into their portal at 11 o'clock at night. They just logged in at 10 o'clock in the morning. They logged in at 12 that day. A vendor logging in lots of times to the portal is someone who's going to be high maintenance, but you can combat that by calling them if you can see they're logging in a lot and answering their questions. It's really good insight into managing vendors for that particular part. So through the property journey of 8 Skinners, we're giving really good reports and feedback to our vendor, and we'd obviously want you all using the vendor portal. That portal, just so you know, LockedOn Plus is having a major facelift, a major update. This is going to have a lot more features in it. It's going to pull a lot more stats from REA and domain. It's going to have graphs, charts, more document resources in there, comparable sales. It's going to, like this, it'll make this look like, it was built in 1980. So the screens that we've seen with that and what we designed, we can't wait to get that out as LockedOn Plus. But when we get that out, it would be silly if any agent using LockedOn is not using that. It's just going to be so advanced and game changer in regards to what the vendor can see and interact with, that it's going to be really, really powerful. So I'm excited to get that out to you. That'll be coming sort of hopefully around the first quarter of next year. So the advanced vendor portal will be there as part of Plus. As you're working this, we get to the point where the property sells, guys. So you've had a buyer who's made an offer, and that's where we would add in their purchaser here, Dave, which I'll just delete. And this, you can see the parties here. We've already got the solicitor added, but I would just type Dave is going to be my purchaser because he'll already be in the system as a buyer. We select him and we link him up to the parties. So we've got my vendor, solicitor, purchaser, and that's where the life cycle sales advice gets filled in. Now, this is all pre-done. Just so we don't have to waste too much time, but I will just change some dates on this from the last one we did. So we'll say it went under contract today, offer was accepted, sold by Andrew. So it wasn't me, the listing agent. It's going exchanged. Okay, we'll say that it's got a 5-7 day cool off, so next week. And then it's got 9 weeks to settlement. Now you don't have to use that. You can pick the date manually. It was sold for $1 million. We've got a few deadlines in there, solicitors, and we can update this. Now, once all of this is saved and we know that the property's gone under contract, we can go into the listing. We can tick it as under offer, which it is. And then in the marketing portals, we have it as current. We hit upload, and that puts it as under offer on all sites. Now, you don't have to upload it as under offer. It's your call, but that's there for you to do. Now, at this point, we're now having the property in our list and it's sitting here as under offer. You can see that little tag. We're nurturing the sale over the next 5 days to make sure that all the sales deadlines are met. that it goes to the past call off and it becomes exchanged. And let's pretend that's happened. So the solicitors have called us. I said, congratulations, property is now exchanged. We update this to exchanged. We then go into the task. We go actions, apply DNA, and we set our exchange to settlement process for the vendor, and we apply that. This is a checklist to keep in contact with your vendor for the listing agent and the vendor's purchase solicitor, and to make sure that we're doing everything to get this property sold and marketed correctly. We then also add a plan for the purchaser. Because there's two parties now, we start this as well. And if you have a different selling agent, it'll be up for the selling agent to keep in contact with their purchaser and their purchaser's solicitor. So you can see some of these tasks here are assigned to Luke. Some of them are assigned to Andrew. It's really who it relates to, linked to purchaser, linked to vendor. So the selling agent's doing his stuff and I'm doing my stuff with the vendor. We're talking all the time. We're updating notes. We can see the tasks that are going out. So we know what's happening with the sale. And, you know, the 9-week exchange process to settlement has taken place and all of these have been completed. The vendor and the purchaser had this amazing experience with a lot of contact through our office, which is generally where, you know, the ball stops generally in most offices for this. You know, they don't get much follow-up. The property's sold, the agent moves on to the next thing. The admin's got 100 other sales to do. They kind of don't focus on one person. But when it becomes to simple SMSs every week and letters and tasks, it can really, really make that stand out for your company. So let's pretend all of them are done. And through that process, you get the call from the solicitor and they say, congratulations, the property is settled. This is the final process, the funnest part. And this is where we now hand over the keys. So as they come in to get the keys, we can then transfer the property. You can do it before they come and get the keys, but on that day, you get the call that it's settled. We mark it as settled and we go through the questions here. So the first one, remove all uncompleted items against the seller. We say yes, and add a DNA plan for them. And if we like our vendor, and we understand some vendors are moving, you know, way away, not in the area, or you don't want to follow them up, it's up to you, but I would always set 6.1 because it's simply a phone call and an SMS to Luke and Natalie who sold a property in my area. And I'm going to update their address to where they're moving to. And I'm going to add any tags to them. Now, anyone who sells with me, I put in a VIP category. I then go into the purchaser questions. We're going to create a new property assigned to them. We're going to assign a DNA, which is going to be 6.2 or 3. Are they a live-in or an investor? Now, Dave is going to live into the property. Pretend he doesn't have a tag there, or he had a buyer hot tag. I'm going to remove that because he's no longer a buyer hot. I know that he's found his home and he's going to be a VIP because anyone who buys or sells off me is a VIP. They're just my tags, okay? You can customize all your own tags, but that's just how I would use them. Will the purchaser remain an active buyer? We'll say no, and update their address to be this address. We'll say yes. And now we transfer the property. So what it's doing now is setting follow-up for me to stay in contact with my vendor. It's also transferring the property to Dave. It's setting anniversary plan that never ends for Andrew, who is the selling agent, to keep in contact with his client for Dave. So he's a client for life. That lasts forever. It's got automation in it. Automatic SMSs go out every year saying, congratulations, been 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 years since you purchased your home. Hopefully they sell it in 7 or 8 years and we get the call. Now we go to the new property and we can see that it's assigned to Andrew here. And in the task is my full, beautiful process, emails, SMSs, lifelong follow-up for Dave, who's just purchased this property. Now, Dave sits in here. He's getting all this follow-up from Andrew that appears in his tasks. And just to hit home with this, guys, and I'm sure a lot of us have done sales training or been to seminars, is that whole process I just showed you, from meeting a potential, having a plan, an appraisal plan, a listing a plan, exchanged plan, and settlement plans. If you get this right and you meet hundreds of potential sellers, and some of those are appraisals, sales, listings, exchanges, this is what drives your business forward. Cannot hit home on this harder, is that the more tasks you have every day to connect to warm to hot sellers, people that own property in your area, there is only one way your business can go. And the way you'll see this happening, if you're not already using it, if you get back into thinking, okay, 2022, I'm going to get back on top of this. I'm going to use the potential plans, appraisals. I'm going to use every plan that they give me. You'll start to see 5 calls a day. It'll then go up to, in three to 4 months, you might get 7 or 8. Then in 6 months, 7, 8 months, you're getting 10. Then come to the end of the first year, you might be up to 12 or 13. And then coming into year 2, you're getting consistently 15 calls a day. By the end of year 2, you're getting consistently 20. You start hitting that magic number of around 20, 25 connections a day to past appraisals, past sellers, listings, exchanges. I can guarantee you that your business will be way bigger than what it is right now. Absolutely guarantee it, because the number of contacts you're making, not just to cold people or to prospects, but to warm people in your database, is in the thousands a year of just personal one-on-one follow-up and connections to people. Now, a lot of that you can also automate, but there is one thing that hasn't changed in the 15 years I'm doing that. That is a database that tells you to connect and speak to 25 to 30 connections a day. They are still some of Australia's top agents. They will always stick to those consistent numbers. And that's where we want you to get. Now, you may not want to be a $2, $3, $4 million writer and have that workload. But if you get to a point where you feel comfortable, you're writing pretty good numbers, and you're making 500, 600K, and you're doing 15 tasks a day, 20 tasks a day, and it's manageable, that's a really good career that you've got. And it's a really good system that's backing you up to do that. But the power of it is that you can just shut your computer down at the end of the night and know that the next day is there's going to be my next 15 calls to make, anniversaries, listings, appraisals, follow-ups. That's what we want to see. Out of all the features you'll have in Locked On, this is what will make you money. Yes, the other ones will help you win business. This is what will make you money consistently, year on year, day on day, and grow your business. Now, let's go into the last thing I want to show you. We've run a bit over time today. So I want to show you this as the last feature of Locked On Plus we launched for people that can get to see it. Recapping on what you have in your My Details area, isn't it? Now that we capture everything for you, we've got your name, your position, your email, your contact, your social accounts, your image, your agent bio. You need to fully finish. Give yourself a heading, a short summary, put in your awards, add your website links and video, add your extended bio. If you do not have an extended bio, get someone to write one for you. Give them your short bio, give them some bullet points, get someone to write a really, really nice, like one-page document. Pick a banner that you can upload, tells you the dimensions there. Once you've saved all that, you have this killer feature, which is people charge $1,500 setup for what I'm about to show you. We build it instantly for you. They charge $100 a month hosting for your own agent site. We do it for you. If you go into this and customize your site, you can now build your own agent profile landing site. By using the components here, you can go through every single thing, which will brand it with your colors and everything ready to go based on the data you have in Locked On. You can enter your headline here. So let's just say Luke is, press tab, highlight, we delete this. Luke is the best. Okay. Sorry, you got to click cursor flashing in there. And then we're just going to say #1 agent in your area. Book an appraisal button stays there, but I can change that to be a different title. I can upload an image. So in here, I can pick the image, background image. We've got the download option. And what we can see is that's the URL. So when you want to first set your image, that's showing you the bigger image there. So I just got to go back into the agent site. Oh, it might not have saved my changes. Customize. Yeah, it didn't save because I was still on that. So in the menu, I've uploaded an image, so it's already there. Sorry, we've got to put the way to remove it, but yours will be black. And I've put this cave image here. So #1 agent in Dulles Point. So remember, that was my database. Okay, in the heading here, more buyers than you know. Okay, we go into my bio. You can't really customize this. So if we look into this, we've got the agent bio. So this will pull your awards and your short stat, your contact details, and your socials. Your statistics are stats here that you can change. So this is basically your stats. Where are you up to in your career? Put these in here so people can see it. You can see that I'm changing it, and I might put up to 250 mil of property sold. Change these every month, every day if you want. Once you finish, click on to the next one. Your extended bio would be your banner image and your video. It then has your extended bio, which I said, get someone to write for you. Okay, you want that to look really nice. We then go into about step, and you can really make this whatever you want, but the whole idea is to book an appraisal, so they drop down to the form. So in your headline, we'll just say book, got to click in there and get the cursor. It always gets me. You can't highlight it all. So we click in there and we'll say book a MA, and I can enter a bullet point, summary, and a booking appraisal, and I can pick the image by uploading it over here in the upload. So the property listings, you can't change. It will show your nine listings per page. It'll put them newest to oldest. It will also have a recently sold. These are only your listings and only your sales. So newest listings to oldest, recent sales, newest to oldest as well. So if you don't want that on your page, you can turn it off. See the little eye icon? We'll turn any of these off. The call to action is really powerful. We allow you one right now. So you can put a headline here, and this may be download my ebook. So we can put a PDF, download free PDF on how to sell in Dulles Point. I can then upload the document on the right, and then I can put a little bit more copy under that. My testimonials will show all the office testimonials. However, I can select just mine if I wanted to, and I can change these as I add more. You can put as many as you want. It will just scroll left to right. We then go into your articles. It will show the latest 3 articles in your office, but you can just pick the ones you've written if you want, that you want on your site. You can change that whenever. It'll only show 3. The contact form, you can either have on or off, and then your footer is always the same. So if I save and close this now, here's what I'm saying. You've customized this in 20 minutes. You've picked your background image. You've set up all the text. You now have your own agent website that people charge $1,500 for. When you preview site, your site is now live. It's going to be your name.agentlive.com.au, and it's fully interactive. Here's the really, really powerful part, is that when you go to every website, you can now get a QR code for it. So for all the agents out there that want to market themselves in their area as the area expert, and you're putting DL flyers out there, you're putting little mailbox drops out, you put this QR code in all your marketing now, and it's find out about me. That page, that image can be updated every day. The book appraisal button drops down into here. It'll get their address and it will sync directly into your profile and your LockedOn account. You change your articles every week. You've changed updating your testimonials. You can change your free download there. There's all my listings. I only have 3, and there's my recent sales, and they can click on any one of these to launch that page to see the LockedOn landing site. You've got the book appraisal little widget in the middle. We're always trying to drive them to get an appraisal. There's your video that hovers over from your agent bio. There's your stats that you can control and customize, all your awards, and that's the main thing at the top, and all your menus that drop down into particular areas there. I just need to check those menus there. Yeah, we'll get that fixed instantly. So guys, that's really, really, really powerful. When you preview the site, that's your URL, that's your QR. The other thing, as a final note on that, is we can link them to your own domain. For example, here is one that we've done. You can set it up to your own name. We're going to be sending this out to everyone soon. We highly suggest you go to GoDaddy or Crazy Domains, purchase your own name.com.au, because you can, for $19 a month, put this on your own domain. And then you can just direct everyone to your own website, your own landing page. You can see that she's uploaded this custom image that Melissa could change every day if she wanted to. And hers is all set up. The stats, the videos, book and appraisal, and she's using this in the marketplace actively now. The control you get with that is industry leading. You will not get a website like this that you can control and change instantly anywhere else. And this is included in your subscription if you want it to have on agentlive.com.au. Otherwise, you can purchase your own domain, and for $19 a month, we can host it on your own domain for you. So guys, that's all we've got time for. I've run a fair bit over time today, because I really wanted to show you some exciting new stuff that we have in LockedOn, and you probably would have seen that in the LockedOn Plus, but that's all in your accounts now. Get in there, start using it. We've got some great tutorials on how you can use all those new big features. We'd love to see your sites when you've got them all up and running, so send us a link to preview. Other than that, guys, it's been a pleasure showing you around LockedOn today. Have a great Christmas and New Year's. We'll be coming back on the 10th of January, so we'll miss the January webinar, but the first one will be in February of 2022, and hopefully we'll have the pre-list proposal system to show you then, which will be really, really exciting. Again, great Chrissy New Year's. I'm going to stop the recording now, finish up. All the best, and we'll speak soon. Thanks, guys.